There is a possibility that Japan will print 1 billion yen and buy 1 billion Bitcoin. They should print $20 billion in yen and buy $20 billion in Bitcoin if they want to be smart. When the news came out, Bitcoin would go up 3 times. They would have $60 billion in bank assets that are worth 30% more each year. And in the end, their balance of payments would be $20 billion in the black. It ends up coming true on its own. In a recent conversation with Guy Adhami of CNBC, Saylor talked about what he thinks could drive up the price of Bitcoin. He said that the world economy is at a turning point right now. The amount of debt in the world rose by about $1.3 trillion and reached a new high of $315 trillion in the first quarter of 2024. The global debt to GDP ratio has been steadily going down over the past year. This is because debt is growing and productivity is going down. Saylor says that the world's economy is going through an irreversible change that will require investors from sovereign wealth nations to multi-billion-dollar companies to change the way they spend right away. Saylor is sure that this change will be good for Bitcoin and very bullish for it, as it will lead to more people using it and big price gains. El Salvador doesn't have its own money. The winner is the first country to print its own money and buy Bitcoin. You need to be able to print $10 billion of your currency and trade it for $10 billion of Bitcoin. Bitcoin should grow by 30% every year. That's how a government reserve asset should work, since everyone has to rush into it at the same time. It was worth $600 million for MicroStrategy and we had $600 million in cash. We had no growth, we're dead money, and we're moving $2 million a day in the stock market. That's the same as the Russell 2000. Or let's use the Russell 1000 to talk about the worst companies in the Russell 1000. That's how they all are. All of them are $25 million to $100 billion companies with market caps of $100 million to $1 billion. Every day they all trade between $1 million and $20 million, and all of them have slow growth because you can't grow like Microsoft if you're not NVIDIA Apple or the Magnificent Seven. We took that small cap company on the Russell 2000. We took our money. It was Bitcoin that we bought. The Bitcoin we bought was worth $250 million. That was put on the wire. People who owned shares changed hands. We bought more Bitcoin worth $175 million. The stock went up 200%. All of our workers used some of their stock options. A lot more Bitcoin was bought. The stock went up again. We sold a bond that could be changed into cash. A lot more Bitcoin was bought. The stock went up once more. Bitcoin went up again. The stock price went up 10 times, the market cap went up 20 times, and the business value went up 40 times. So fast forward 44 months. It went from about $600 million to around $25 billion. Why were we there? We were either giving away our money, which was stock, to buy Bitcoin, or we were borrowing against our stock to buy Bitcoin. For a national wealth fund, I would tell them to start buying Bitcoin as capital. If you're a small to medium-sized country that can print its own currency, I would tell an aggressive small country to either print the currency to buy Bitcoin or issue sovereign debt and quickly swap it into Bitcoin. It's cheap to borrow money, and Bitcoin will pay you back at least 24%. It's clear, but I'm not going to hold my breath about countries since it's a very political matter. Some people who would clearly benefit from this would be the shareholders, officers, and directors of the 10,000 small to medium-sized businesses, especially publicly traded businesses that can't really do better than the Magnificent Seven. Hopefully you're listening to this show. If you have money and don't think you can beat Google, Meta, Microsoft, and NVIDIA, you can either take the cash and buy Bitcoin, issue equity and buy Bitcoin, or issue debt, either senior debt, or even better, convertible debt that can be converted to your equity and buy Bitcoin. This lets you recapitalize with an asset that is appreciating instead of decapitalizing and having nothing or holding capital in an asset that is depreciating and has a negative real yield and burning shareholder value. Jack Dorsey, CEO of Block Inc., said earlier this month that the fintech company would buy Bitcoin every month to keep its books in order. During his conversation with Adhami, Saylor says that Block is the first company to take this step. As the world economy gets worse over the next few years, many more will do the same. We need to go back to the interview. MicroStrategy is going to keep improving its Bitcoin situation, making it exponentially harder. Block told the world last week that they would start buying Bitcoin every month. A lot of Bitcoin miners have added to the value of Bitcoin. Of those, a lot of them are mining Bitcoin right now instead of selling it. There will likely be more Bitcoin miners who buy more. There will likely be more Bitcoin platforms that buy more. You can see that the number of current ETFs is growing. There are now 22 spot ETFs in the world, and they're all competing with each other in the market. Things are going to get tougher. You'll see these Russell 1000 companies at some point. Which one of them wants to wake up? It seems like all you have to do is wait for someone to want the money. I believe that when they do that, the price of Bitcoin goes up, and I have to go after it. The first Bitcoins I bought were worth less than $10,000. Now I'm getting Bitcoins for around $60, which is fine with me. I have no idea where we'll end up. We'll get more, I'm sure. From here, we'll add on. It will be possible for us to buy more Bitcoin than we have now. We will do this with cash, debt, especially convertible debt, and stock. That will depend on the capital markets and a lot of other factors. Archimedes said, if you give me a long enough lever and a place to stand, I can move the world. Blockchain is where you should be. There isn't enough of it, so it's not a commodity. If there isn't enough of something, it's like telling you there's one place that's the center of all trade in the world. There is a lot of business going on there. That city is only 276 blocks long, 276 blocks wide, and 276 blocks high, but one day every country will be moving their capital through that city. Also, about 94% of those blocks are taken, but you can still buy another one if you want to. Would you like to buy more? Yes, I want to keep buying because, well, if I could have bought New York or Manhattan 100, 50, 200, 30 or 300 years ago, tell me when that would have been a bad idea. It's always been smart to be able to hold. As long as you can keep the house. Why would you want to live in Manhattan? The island is made of granite and is in the middle of Long Island Sound and the Hudson River. It has great natural ports. It's how you get to North America. It was always the best spot for a port, right? People will want to live and do business in that city for hundreds of years if you look at it, drive around it, and just stare at it. You can build that on top of that schist. Tell us what you think in the space below. Please like this movie and subscribe to our channel to see more fun videos.